The Laboratory Support Evidence Receiving section at the Georgia Bureau of Investigation Crime Lab is the section where Georgia law enforcement agencies submit evidence for processing, entry, and analysis. These agencies include police departments, sheriff's offices, medical examiners, the GBI Investigative Division, and the District Attorney's Office. Approximately 5,000 evidence items are submitted each month for analysis to the Laboratory Support Evidence Receiving section. Upon arrival, those submitting evidence will fill out a GBI submission form. This submission form is available online on the Georgia Bureau of Investigation website, so as to allow the officers to complete the submission form prior to arriving at GBI. The submission form contains all the necessary information required by the evidence entry personnel to accurately enter in the case information and provide the scientists with information to perform their testing and analysis. The form also contains agency, subject, and victim identifying information, along with the type of services requested. There is a lab support evidence entry person available to assist the officer with any questions they may have regarding the submission form or evidence packaging information. There is an officer room for those needing an area to organize their evidence. Evidence submission guidelines are also available in the officer's room as well as on the GBI website. Once the evidence is ready for submission, the officer date-time stamps the submission form and places the evidence in one of the many lockboxes. These evidence lockers are labeled by the type of evidence being submitted. These include designations such as drugs, biology, trace evidence, blood alcohol kits, and firearms. Once evidence is placed in the lockbox and the door is closed, no one can open it from the officer's side. The lockboxes are emptied throughout the day, so as to allow other agencies adequate space to submit their evidence. The evidence receiving technician emptying the evidence lockbox documents the date and time the lockbox was emptied and signs the form they will attach to the evidence. From the time the evidence is placed in the lockbox by the officer until the evidence is returned to the agency, a detailed chain of custody is kept. This chain of custody is critical when the case goes to trial, so as to show that the evidence is accounted for during every move as the evidence travels throughout the crime lab. Not only does these chains of custody indicate dates and times of movement, but also includes the locations and those in possession of the evidence. The evidence chain of custody becomes a permanent part of the GBI case file. The evidence receiving technician brings the evidence to one of the entry technicians for entry, or places the evidence in a temporary storage location in the evidence vault until an entry technician is available to enter the evidence. The evidence entry technician enters all the required information from the GBI submission form into the GBI evidence entry program, prints a unique barcode for each evidence item, takes pictures of the evidence as received, and scans in all submitted case forms. The entry technician can contact the submitting or case officer to clarify any needed information during their entry. From this point, all movement is electronically kept by scanning the evidence from person to person and person to location, utilizing a unique PIN number. Once the entry is completed, the entry technician scans the evidence to the evidence pickup bin for the appropriate scientific analysis for pickup. The evidence is picked up daily by the scientific disciplines for assignment, testing, and analysis. Once the testing and analysis is completed, the evidence returns to Lab Support Evidence Receiving section to be returned to the appropriate agency. Officers that submit evidence to the GBI Crime Lab also pick up the completed evidence to hold for court.